So here's a massive question for you. Could Australia become a global energy superpower? And I don't mean just by digging stuff up and putting it on a boat. I mean by completely rewiring our whole approach to energy. Let's dive into a blueprint that says, yeah, not only is it possible, but Australia has a kind of unfair advantage to make it all happen.
For years, probably decades, the energy debate in Australia has been a total shouting match, right? It's coal versus solar, gas versus wind. But what if that entire argument is missing the real point? What if the actual game changer, the real magic, isn't the source of the power at all?
It's the storage. That's it. That's the whole ballgame. The simple ability to capture energy and then release it exactly when and where you need it. This one shift in focus, well, it could unlock literally everything.
I want you to think of a battery as the Switzerland of energy. It's totally neutral. It could not care less if it's getting its charge from a coal plant in the middle of the night, a solar farm at midday, or a wind turbine in a storm. It just takes the power in, holds it, and pushes it back out. It's the great unifier in what's been a really divided energy world.
So this is the big pivot. It's about moving away from these endless, ideological wars about where the energy comes from, and instead focusing all our attention on storage as the great enabler. See, storage makes renewables reliable, it makes traditional power plants more efficient, and it makes the entire grid way more stable.
Okay, so how do we actually do this? This isn't just some fuzzy idea. There's a pretty concrete 7-step plan. We'll call it the Superpower Blueprint. It's basically the instruction manual for how to build the whole machine.
The whole thing really rests on 2 gigantic first moves. Step 1, we've got to stop just digging up our raw materials and shipping them away. It's time to turn our rocks into high-tech rackets, build the entire value chain right here. And step 2, we have to get deadly serious about manufacturing by building gigafactories, and yeah, that's plural, on Australian soil.
So let's break down that first step. Onshoring the value chain just means we mine it, refine it, and manufacture it all here in Australia. Now, the upside is pretty obvious, right? More local jobs, a much bigger slice of the pie from every ton of rock we dig up, and, this is crucial, control over our own supply chains. But the trade-offs are real. This needs a ton of upfront cash and some serious political backbone.
And look, you're not going to attract the big guns like Tesla or BYD just by asking them nicely. You have to make them an offer they can't refuse. The blueprint lays it out. Create dedicated battery manufacturing zones. And inside those zones, offer cheap land, slash the red tape with fast-tracked approvals, give them tax breaks, and even have the government co-invest so the whole nation gets a piece of the success.
And the payoff for building these things is just immense. We're talking about tens of thousands of high-tech jobs, critical new technology flowing into our local industries, and a massive upgrade to Australia's standing in the world. Of course, this means you've got to navigate the tricky politics of corporate deals and get the balance right between foreign investment and local ownership. It's not easy.
All right, so once we're actually building all these batteries, where do they go? The answer is pretty simple. Everywhere, absolutely everywhere, from the huge national grid right down to your street corner.
The blueprint is really blunt about the sheer scale of this thing, and it's a line worth repeating because it just captures the ambition perfectly. This isn't about a few little pilot projects. The plan is for big batteries and a heck of a lot of them.
So the first job is tackling the big picture, making the entire national grid stable. This means using massive grid-scale batteries to do the job that these old, dirty, and super expensive peaker plants used to do. The batteries can react in milliseconds to stop blackouts before they even start and just smooth out the bumps for the whole system. And you don't just put these things down randomly. There's a clear strategy. You place these huge batteries where they'll have the biggest impact. Most of them near big cities to handle those evening power surges. A bunch at major substations to support the network, some right next to the solar and wind farms to soak up their extra energy, and the rest near big industrial users.
But it's not all about the massive national grid. The vision goes right down to the local level. It's about using smaller, distributed batteries to make our homes and communities tougher and more resilient, especially in a country that gets hit with bushfires and floods.
So what does that actually look like in real life? Well, it looks like rebates to help you get a battery for your own home. It looks like community batteries sitting in suburbs for people who can't get rooftop solar. And it means creating independent microgrids for remote towns and mining sites so they don't have to rely on diesel generators or one long, fragile power line anymore.
Okay, and when you put this all together, it leads to this really pragmatic, engineering-first approach to actually generating power. With all this storage capacity, the energy wars can finally end. You can just use an all-of-the-above strategy. Storage becomes the smart brain of the system, charging itself up with whatever's cheapest at any given moment, solar, wind, gas, you name it, and then delivering clean, reliable power 24/7.
So what's the end game? What is the ultimate payoff for all of this? Well, it's about a lot more than just cheaper power bills. It's about Australia becoming the undeniable energy anchor for our entire part of the world. Now, a really cool piece of this vision is Step 6, Pacific Battery Diplomacy. Just imagine Australia exporting not just the batteries, but whole energy independence packages to our neighbors in the Pacific. We could offer them microgrids, help finance them with good guy loans, and then train their local engineers to run and maintain them. I mean, that's soft power with real, tangible impact. It builds relationships and provides a stable, clean energy choice in a really competitive part of the world.
Now look, a brilliant plan is completely useless if it just gets torn up and thrown out after every election, right? So step 7 is all about making the whole thing boringly reliable. And that requires these solid pillars of governance: a totally independent authority to oversee the rollout, a green investment bank to help fund it all, and a national skills plan to make sure we actually have the workforce to build it.
So what's the final scorecard here? The potential upside is, well, it's transformative. We're talking cheaper, more stable power, totally new advanced manufacturing industries, great jobs in the regions, and real strategic independence. But the challenges are just as big. It needs a massive upfront investment, it means getting through some ugly political fights, and it requires a level of long-term discipline that, let's be honest, Canberra isn't always famous for.
And this, really, is the killer point. Australia is uniquely, maybe even unfairly, set up to pull this off. We've got the lithium, the nickel, the copper, it's all on the ground. We have the endless land for renewables and factories. We have the demand right here at home. We have the capital, and we have the engineering know-how. All the ingredients, they're already here.
Which, of course, brings us to the final and most critical question. The blueprint is there. The resources are literally under our feet. We know what to do. So, what's missing? And I'll just leave you to think about that.